What's going on, Rochester?
Woo!
It Be the Change Radio, addiction awareness and support. Neffy in the house.
Panikins. Karina.
Karina. Holy moly. We have lots to talk about today, which I'm super excited about. We'll start off with cleanup and outreach. We handed out 100 lunches today, which was awesome. It was super busy today. Obviously the snow's melted, so we ended up hitting a few of our regular spots that we weren't able to get to before. And we picked up about 650 to 750 needles between Clinton Avenue to Hudson Avenue. Holy moly. So, and we had outreach at 821 North Clinton today, as we always do, between 1:30 and 3:30. I didn't even get a recap on that, so I'm excited to hear, guys.
821 was good today. I think we had 40 lunches left out of the 100 that were made. Those were all gone, I think, except for one maybe. We received some donations, but everything is basically organized at 821, which is awesome. That got done throughout this week. We had a few people come in, not many, but it was good. Everything's organized, hanging up. It's not on pallets on the floor anymore. We're actually able to know what we have and what we don't have, and that's a good thing. It makes it a lot easier for all of us.
And we're getting, someone donated us 5 pipes. They're 10-foot pipes, the ones that we need, 5 of them. They're like super expensive. Wheeler Heating, thank you so much for that. We're super excited. I cannot wait. My mother-in-law, Jill, ordered us 500 hangers. Oh, it's just so awesome. It looks amazing down there. We'll be posting more pictures. It's a work in progress, but it's amazing. I absolutely love it. I wanted to touch on another thing that we did this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. So yesterday we went to something called Churches United to Combat Addictions. And we had a table there. Soars had a table there. Recovery Fitness. What's Jonathan's? Pathways. Yes. Pathways to Hope. It was amazing. So we were super excited to join forces with all these other people who are dedicated to making a change and making our community safer and better and supporting all these people struggling in addiction. The sad part was not one of our politicians, not one of our city officials, no one from Mayor Lovely Warren's office came. That's messed up. That pisses me off. That's unacceptable. This is happening in our freaking cities, in our backyards. We're picking needles up in churches. Like
playgrounds.
It makes me so mad.
Sidewalks.
Everywhere. When you walk down Clinton Avenue, they have those little flower pots. We've pulled out needles from those. Like, holy crap. Why isn't anything... Things should be getting done way quicker than they are. And it sucks that they're not. But let's talk... sorry for my rant. It was an amazing event, though.
It was phenomenal. Oh. I am so glad that we went. Not only, like, having a table for what we're doing, but just to be a part of that. And the board, the panel... Okay, I'm not going to say all of them, but a good majority of them, I will say, are like so devoted to this cause and to this movement. It was like really refreshing to see people that, you know, are in official positions or in, I don't really know what I'm looking for to say. People that have a little bit of power.
Right.
You know. a little bit of power, that care just as much as we do about trying to make a difference in fighting this epidemic that we're in.
Right. And there were quite a few that, they're only familiar with addiction from watching other people go through it. They themselves haven't been, but they have such a strong voice and standpoint on these issues. It was amazing.
I think my favorite part was the people that were on the panel that admitted that they were in recovery or they had struggled with addiction at one point too.
Yes.
And then the pastor also, like, that was really heart-wrenching for me, when he started to share his testimony basically, and he said we were too short on time to tell his whole story, but just the little that he said was so powerful for me, and I looked at him in a different view, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
this guy is no different than me, and look what he has done with his life, you know what I mean? And look at what he's doing to try to help the community as a whole by putting on that event at his church,
Yes, and this is one of 6 events.
Yes.
There will be more.
Which we will be attending.
Yes.
All of them.
And we want everybody to come out and join us. Like, come to these events. This is our community where this is happening. These are where our kids are growing up. Everyone needs to attend these.
Can't be heard watching a Facebook Live video from home. You can be heard if you come to the events with us and speak when we're able to ask questions to these people, such as the chief of police in Gates and Todd Baxter and different people. The guy from U of R that was there, Michael Manzanito, I believe his name was.
Right. It was just such an amazing event. I'm so glad that we did that. Thanks to Wynn for signing us up and telling us about it. She's the one who found it. Thank God she did. But it was just awesome. And when Wynn is here, she just said she got it from Kelly. So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
It was just so awesome. So this brings me to our next topic that I would like to talk about. A lawmaker, a councilman, Dan Peckard, suggested EMTs stop responding to overdose calls, especially repeat offenders.
Oh my gosh.
He said that he is trying to make it so there will be no repeat rescue.
Yeah, and he was also saying if you do overdose and they save you with Narcan, they want you to do community service. And then if you fail to do community service and overdose again, we might not save you. Like, I totally disagree with that, man.
So do I.
We have a disease. We don't, like, that's in our brains, man. And, like, sometimes we really just can't control that urge or that craving. And people, I know for me, when I was using, like, I understood the threat of overdosing almost every time I used or I stuck that needle in my arm. But at the same time, I didn't think about that, especially when I was sick. Like, all it was about was getting off sick or getting that euphoric rush, which for me was a numbing agent of life, And
exactly.
I didn't really fear overdose. And when things got real bad, I almost seeked it out. And it's scary, because we don't know when people are going to be ready. And if they just do that and let them die, like, how do we know we can't save millions of lives,
Exactly.
I'm like really biting my tongue because there's some things that I'd like to say that probably are not
appropriate.
Thank you, Adina, for that. So all I'm going to say about this topic is that until people become educated about the illness and disease of addiction and what it actually does to our brains throughout the process of using, they are never going to fully understand. There's so much controversy around this is a choice. And my personal opinion is that, yes, it begins with a choice. Mm-hmm. But once you are progressively in active addiction, it is proven that it changes the way that our minds work and thinks in the receptors in our brain. Therefore, bringing it into what we would like to call a disease. Mm-hmm. So therefore, people that are still actively using, they have no care or for concern about overdosing. The fact that they want, so basically what you're telling me is, so instead of us thinking that you're worth saving until you have this point of desperation where you decide that you want help, or even as they were discussing at the event, sometimes you have to be forced to get help to want it. And now they're just gonna what? So they're just gonna let hundreds of people die?
Right.
Hundreds of people die.
Basically
every day.
give up on them.
And I want to bring up a point that I don't even remember who said it yesterday, but they stated the plague is upon us. This is our plague. And I got goosebumps right now saying it. But when he said it, who was it? Do you remember who it was?
I think it was
Matt, the pastor.
The pastor.
Okay.
From Teen Challenge, I believe.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you guys are right.
It was either him or the gentleman from U of R that was on the panel, not the guy that spoke first.
Okay.
But I think it was either Matt or the gentleman that was sitting 2 people away from Matt. I forgot his name.
Right. But holy crap, that was on point.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. It's a plague. Again, the numbers aren't in yet. There's a lady who runs a Facebook group. It's Rochester Area Crime Alert, and she's
Eva,
working
right?
on the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she messaged me the other day, and she's like, "I'm so sorry it's taking so long. There's so many of them." And I'm like, I totally understand. I get it.
Right.
Another thing they talked about is that they're going to start not just keeping track of the overdose deaths, but all the overdoses.
Within 24 hours, too. It's
yes.
going to be the next day, it's going to be from the following day. So
Right.
I think that's going to allow us to be more aware, and I think that we will hear more about overdoses, hopefully, maybe not on a mainstream media level, but grassroots level like us and everything. We'll have those numbers more readily available, and we'll be able to share them with the community. And
Right.
I mean, basically, hopefully it just makes the community how real this really is.
Right. And, this lawmaker who is suggesting this, like, they need to go after pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
The attic is obviously, we have problems and we're going to have to deal with them. But until we get sober and the right support, it's almost impossible to do. And you need that to be able to do it. There's another sheriff, Richard Jones, in Butler County, Ohio, who agrees with this. And his police officers are not allowed to carry Narcan.
Right.
Get out of here. That's crazy. That's unacceptable.
That's insane.
As a police officer, it's their duty to act.
Protect and serve.
It's the law. I don't know. It's so crazy.
Basically, for me, I just think of like the stigma wrapped around addiction when I think of that, because it's, they're judging a book by its cover. Oh, they're an addict. If they overdose, that's their own fault. And again, back to the disease thing, like for me, the disease lied to me long before the drug. The drug was but a symptom.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even realize I was an opiate addict or addict period until I was prescribed something from a pharmaceutical company, and then I liked it so much I couldn't just eat those like a normal person would. They in the book I use in my 12-step program, they say drink with impunity. Like, I can't drink with impunity. If I take a sip of beer, I'm drinking till the cows come home.
Mm-hmm.
And some people can take a sip of beer or drink a half a beer with dinner, and that's that. And they
Right.
go home and go to bed. I can't do that. I can't do that with any substance or anything that gets me out of me. And that could be defiance. It could be behaviors. It could be dishonesty. It's so many. The disease is so many more things than just the drug.
Exactly.
So when you guys are arguing about disease or choice, think about don't think about it as just drug addicts. Don't think about it as the drug. Think about it as behaviors and stuff like that, because it's a life thing. It's not just the drug. The drug is just simply what
That's
I used
what I'm
when
talking
I found
about.
out I had the disease to numb me.
Exactly. And this is something that people have long before they start using drugs.
Way, way, way before.
Yeah.
I did it with sports, women, whatever.
Well,
when I was
hello,
a kid.
Chad.
Hi, how
Hi,
are you?
Chad.
Hi, Chad.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
But I did it. I was an addict way before the drugs or alcohol even came into the system. I did it with sports. Whatever I did, I had to do it to the extreme, just like Chris said.
Same with me.
Right. It's
And-
that obsession. That
And compulsion.
obsessive- Yep.
And that's why when people say it's not a part of your brain, some people aren't like that. I have friends that aren't even close to the way I am, and they'll never understand me because they're not the way I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life I was envious or jealous of those type of people that could have a beer or two and go home. But now I just realize I'm wired differently. You know, I can't do that. I put any substance in me, I'm off to the races.
And one comment I'd like to make about the two politicians, the sheriff and the politician, they obviously don't have addicts in their family. They'd be a little more compassionate.
Right.
I agree.
Right. It's so sad. There's also this other company, which it comes down to companies. There's a company, McKesson Corporation, a national opioid distributor, violated state law by knowingly flooding Kentucky with large amounts of opiates during the pandemic. There's a lawsuit against them, but they were practicing unfair and deceptive tactics over a 7-year period. Now,
The money mill. It's the money mill.
Right. And people are like, how is this happening? It's happening because it's being allowed to happen, and it takes 7 years to hold these people accountable while other people are dying every day waiting for something to happen.
To add to that, it's like, were we really blind to that for 7 years, that was going on in a small community like that, or did the community choose to be blind to that?
Good point. And I think maybe it's probably some of both.
Maybe not the community as far as the residents, but I mean, like, people that could have done something about it. You know, if, like, obviously the patients feel they have a need for those things, you know.
Right.
But once we're addicted and the disease aspect kicks in, like, we're going to take what we can get.
Exactly. What just happened?
You're grounded.
I'm not paying attention.
You don't have the right to ground me.
Shenanigans.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh yeah, you're back.
Sorry, you know, mom life.
How come nobody's talking? Oh my goodness. Okay. So we are going to do a quick commercial, and we're going to do our song, and then when we come back, we are going to have our
Are we pirates today?
Where's Daddy when you need him?
we are.
Arg.
We are going to have our one and only Chris Perry share his story.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm excited. So, Chris, take it away with the commercial.
All right. If you're looking for someone to bring your remodeling dreams to life, look no further than 7 C's Home Improvements. Specializing in kitchen, bathroom, and basement remodels, 7 C's can do it all, right down to the plumbing. Call Chad Everett at 585-613-1548 or look them up on Facebook. That's the number 7, letter C, Home Improvements.
Woo woo. And we will be back in a minute. Keep listening to Be the Change, Addiction Awareness Support and Recovery Radio on
Rochester Free Radio.
.com.
1063.
And
We're back on.
Ladies and gentlemen.
For anybody who is just tuning in, you're listening to Be the Change Addiction Awareness Support and Recovery Radio. And we're about to hear my amazing friends.
I'm your brother.
Yeah, like let's just be real about that. He is your brother.
We're all family here.
Yes.
Little brother.
Just
Little big brother.
he's so inspirational and
Sounds like a
he's
band.
so hopeful. And he's just killing it and he's amazing. So without further ado,
Chris
Perry.
All right, hey guys, I'm Chris, and I'm definitely an addict.
Hey,
Hi,
Chris.
Chris.
How are
Chris.
you? First, I'm gonna say that I am a little nervous for the first time ever telling my story.
You got
on the
this.
radio.
You got this.
But
no reason to
it's
be
just gonna be
nervous.
my truth, and
There you go.
my story is my story, and I may do things differently than you do in your recovery, but that's what works for me. So I am not trying to offend anyone by talking about certain things I do to stay clean daily. Here we go. So my name's Chris, and I'm an addict, and
Hi, Chris.
hey, Chad.
Hey, Chris.
I started at a very young age. I tried marijuana for the first time when I was about 9 years old. It was in a white ashtray on top of the fridge. I remember that like it was yesterday. But anyway, so that was my first experience with using drugs and getting out of myself. A little bit later on in life, I had started using marijuana with family members, and alcohol came into the story around 12 years old. I remember the first time I drank, I stole 2 bottles out of my dad's bottom dresser drawer. And yeah, I went to a friend's house and drank, and I'm not one of these people that'll sit here and tell you I felt like all holy and great and everything the first time I drank. The first time I drank, I puked everywhere. But the marijuana had numbed me from myself, and I could never be comfortable in my own skin from my very young childhood until I tried marijuana for the first time. So marijuana.
No, you did this stuff at your house.
Yes,
You're
or at a
saying.
friend's house, 3 houses down. My friend Chad, and I had another friend that lived up the street also.
Okay.
So yeah, alcohol 12, and then that just progressed. You know, it was basically whenever I could get my hands on any alcohol, I did the old water in the bottle trick from my parents' liquor cabinet. All my 2 friends that lived down the street, their liquor cabinet, there was nothing but water left in those bottles.
I used to do that too. I would think I
Yeah.
was so sneaky.
Yeah, it was.
But-
Yes, we're pretty smart, you know. Like, for me, like, I hope my parents don't mind me saying this, but they're drinkers, you know. They enjoy their drinks, and so here I am taking their liquor and putting water in the bottles, and thinking they're not gonna notice, but they drink every weekend. So like, what did I really think I was getting away with, you know? But yeah, ultimately, those first couple substances I used and the first couple times I used it was because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I was very small. I thought I had big ears. I had a big head, you know. And basically those things just numbed me from that. It made those feelings go away about myself. I wrestled in high school. All through school, I was, I don't know, I was like a chameleon, you know. I just wanted to be accepted by others. And I did what I could to fit in with any group of people I could. So basically, I started wrestling in 7th and 8th grade. I wrestled, and into high school, I eventually got an injury when I was wrestling to my thumb, and I was prescribed Vicodin. I'm just trying to keep it short.
And
So-
sorry, what age were you then?
I was like 15.
Okay.
So around 8th grade. So I used Vicodin, and basically I took 2 instead of 1 every 6 hours like they had prescribed. So that ran out early, and I always hung out with older people. So one day I woke up and I thought I had the flu. And come to find out from a friend that had used heroin before, I did not have the flu. I had what they call a chippy, or being dope sick. And he explained that to me, and I quickly was on my way to the city to try heroin for my first time. I remember it like it was yesterday. I won't go into detail because I don't want to trigger anybody, but I sniffed it for the first time. I sniffed 1 bag. Within that first month of sniffing heroin, it went from 1 bag to having to do 4 to 5 bags. And he was a shooter. So basically, I seen him doing 1 bag and me doing 5 bags, and I wanted to try it that way because he was getting way higher. And I tried shooting. I had him shoot me up for the first time. And after that, it was basically a wrap. That was like the ultimate feeling I had been searching for my entire life. I had found myself, or so I thought. I didn't have any issues. There was no stress in life when I was on that drug. The euphoric feeling from the rush was all gone. Like, and you know, I hate to say this, but I loved it when I did it for the first time, and it was enjoyable. But as it got worse and worse, it progressed, and it became a necessity. It went from being fun, just something to do and run from myself, to being a necessity, to where I had to have it. So basically from 16 years old until getting clean this time, even though I've been in and out of recovery a bunch since 2009, I just wasn't ready. You know what I mean? I just still could not get comfortable with myself. There was things that had happened in my childhood that I was running from. I won't go into detail, but I was running from myself. I was running from my family life. I was running from the stresses of life itself. I didn't know how to deal with them. And unfortunately, I always thought that my parents chose their partying life over me. And I don't feel that way anymore in recovery because I have gotten into step work and I have a relationship with God and I believe in spiritual principles such as forgiveness and honesty and things like that. But yeah, it was just how fast it progressed was insane. My first charges were in 2009 from being a heroin addict, and I stole from my parents. I stole from my grandmother. I stole, and I'm talking about.
And now, did the charges come from them? Did they have you arrested? Okay.
Yes, my parents.
Oh, wow. You're asking all the questions. You say it before I can.
The first charges I was faced with in 2009 was I got a petty larceny for stealing a bench grinder from my father. And that was the only way he knew how to try to help me.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He figured if we can get him, maybe he doesn't go to jail, maybe he does, but at least we can get him treatment. Maybe these consequences will drive him to want recovery. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he just wanted his son back, man. Is really all it is as I look at it today. He just wanted his son back.
Absolutely.
But I'm grateful. You know, I was mad at them and I held resentments for a long time. Again, today I've let go of those. But I was really mad at them, you know, because I sat in jail. I took drug court, and I went in and out of jail like 6 times between 2009 and 2010. I was in one halfway house. I went in and out of there just 3 times between 2009 and 2010. And so I hated my parents for that. But today I look at it and I'm grateful because that was really what planted the seed of recovery, and that I believe that played a part in my recovery this time, me really knowing a little bit and knowing that life could be better on that side, because there was little stints that I did stay clean. So then I got out of jail after doing my time for drug court basically, and I went right back, you know, same old people. I got around the same old people, and I thought I could smoke some weed. And basically, again, like I had spoke about earlier in the radio show, if I put any substance in me, I'm going straight to heroin. It might take a week, it might take a month, it might take a year, but I'm going to heroin if I put any substance in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I'm grateful that I realized that today. And again, that's through my 12-step program, reading literature, a relationship with God, just recovery, period. Getting to know myself. And I got to give a shout out to Laura, my counselor at Loyola.
Woo woo,
Yeah,
Loyola.
That lady really
Here we go.
She saved my life. But so yeah, that was 2009, 2010, 2011. I think I stayed with my parents for a little while, a month or two, a couple months, but I was using. There was really never any substantial amounts of time that I wasn't using some substance, whether it was K2, marijuana, alcohol, or heroin. But you know, same old story. Telling my parents I'm doing good, stealing from people. My dad got me a job at a golf course, and I worked there for a little while, and I was managing my use, I guess you could say, or so in my eyes I was, but I really wasn't, because I was the water guy at the golf course, and I ended up getting some more charges. I stole the sprinklers from their sprinkler system from the golf course, and when we went to winterize the course, I still had the job because they didn't realize it right away, but the boss came to me and he said, "Chris, where's the sprinklers? You're the water guy, like, Well, what do you mean? I denied it, you know.
Oh, my God.
Deny, yeah.
And, but my dumbass used my own ID at the, I'm sorry about the language, people. I apologize. But,
There's worse words.
yes. But I used my ID at the scrapyard to take the brass sprinklers back, so I was caught red-handed. He went,
Wait,
Oh,
so
wow.
how much did you even get for them?
I probably got a total of about $300, and I
wow.
still to this day owe $1,400 in restitution.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so that was my second time. That was my second time in drug court. It was a grand larceny, and it was in the town of Riga, Churchville. And I went to court, and basically I didn't have money to get a lawyer or anything. I had a public defender, and I'm grateful for that guy too. He got me a deal. Like, they offered me drug court, but it was going to be felony drug court. So if I did not complete, I was going to go do a 1 1/3 to 4 for a grand larceny 4th degree, I believe it was. And he got it reduced, got me into drug court. I told him the only way I was going to take drug court or take it to trial, I would take it to trial if he didn't get me a county year contract for drug court. So basically I took drug court the second time, failed miserably at it. I didn't want to be clean. I hadn't experienced enough pain. And you'll hear me say that a lot. Like, I'm grateful for my attempts at recovery. It taught me a little bit about myself each and every time. But really what it boils down to for me is I have to go through a whole lot of pain to become willing and motivated to do something different. So that was like 2011 to 2013. And then the last 4 years, I've basically been homeless the whole time.
This kid used to carry around a backpack that was almost the same size as him.
Yeah, I had my life in a backpack. And I am leaving out some stuff, you know, but homelessness is a huge part of my story. Relapse is a huge part of my story. That backpack, though, man, that was like my ride or die. That was my only friend, because I wanted to isolate from all people. So my backpack was like the most important thing in my life next to my tent that I was living in. And my tent would constantly get messed with, you know. For some reason, homeless people don't have empathy for other homeless people, and we're mean to each other, which I don't understand still to this day. But that backpack probably weighed about 60 pounds. I'd carry it around on my back, big blue and gray backpack. And I always joke with people now because I bring humor to my recovery. I laugh at my addiction today because if I didn't and I took everything serious, I wouldn't be able to have fun in recovery. So I always say that backpack made it look like I was going to fall over backwards if a good gust of wind came.
It really did, though. It really did.
It stuck off my back like 2.5 feet. And that was when I was bouncing from the tents on South Avenue to a porch on Avenue D in St. Paul to just stairwells all around Avenue A, B, C, D, Clinton Avenue, you know, anywhere I could lay my head for that night and not get too far away from where I could access my drug of choice, heroin, cocaine. And I also wouldn't go too far from a popular corner that I could stand there with a cardboard sign and hold to make money. My parents were always willing to allow me to live there, which I'm grateful for, and I love them for that. But I'm the type of person, when I'm really doing negative, like, I don't want to bring that to my family. Like, they're already suffering enough from me using drugs and knowing that and, like, not hearing from me for months at a time. You know, for me to live with them, it would just be another opportunity for me to steal. It would be more opportunities for me to hurt them, even worse. You know, the way I looked at it was the negative vibes won't be around them as much if I'm not around them. And I apologize for that, Mom and Dad. I love you guys, for real.
Aww.
But, yeah, so from 2013 till now, real quick, and then I'll get into my recovery story. I hate just talking about the bad times. I was homeless. I lived anywhere I could. Most of all, I lived in the Rose Garden on Driving Park in the big gazebo. You guys drive by it a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If you go to Into the Light on Sundays, you definitely drive by it. Luckily, there was a Rent-A-Center right there, so I could always find some couch cushions or some cardboard or some shrink wrap or something to make myself comfortable. And then I also had a spot set up behind the McDonald's that I had worked at one point in the last year. I held a job at McDonald's for a couple months somehow. But I had a nice, well, in my eyes then, it was a nice setup. I had these plastic pallets set up behind the shed at McDonald's, and I had some couch cushions set up, and I had a tarp set up for a roof over where I would lay down at night, and then the Dunkin' Donuts right there on the street. They always had nice, yummy donuts in the dumpster I could grab and munch on right before bed. And then the parking lot at the gazebo, I could normally find some blunt roaches, so I was good. I would smoke my blunt roaches and eat my donuts out of the dumpster and go to sleep in my gazebo. And that was life to me, and I accepted it for what it was. And that's a sad truth for me today, that I accepted it and I was okay with that. And that just goes to show the insanity of the disease of addiction.
Exactly.
Standing on a corner holding a cardboard sign, living in a gazebo, bathing. I used to bathe in the fountain if it was at all nice out. And I caught a petty larceny just about a little less than a year ago at the Tops right there. Stealing one single bar of soap that was $1.29. And that was because I planned on bathing that night in the fountain. And I had, I don't know if I should really say this on the air, but whatever. I had definitely taken some things from some places a whole lot of times before that. But like that was God stepping in, I believe, to give me that petty larceny. But of course, I ran on a warrant, still in active use. And then right around that same time, I ended up with an infection in my leg from being so dirty. And I didn't change my clothes for about a month and a half, 2 months. And the clothes that I hadn't changed out of, I had found in a pile of garbage of someone getting evicted from an apartment. Again, I was okay with that. So I don't know what it was from. I don't know if it was a bite. I don't know if it was infected hair follicles, whatever. But I had this sore on my leg that I was not tending to. And then I found it was getting bad. It was turning yellow around it and getting hard and all that stuff. And turned out it got real badly infected. But again, when we're ripping and running, we're not thinking about our physical health. We're not thinking about anything but one more. And so by that time, I would have a crutch under my left arm, a shopping cart with my blankets and stuff under my right arm, and I'd be standing there holding a sign on Driving Park in St. Paul.
Oh, wow.
Or Lake and Driving Park. And I put it off for like 10 or 11 days, just getting worse and worse and worse. I couldn't even pull a big pair of baggy sweatpants down over my leg, is how swollen my leg was. By the end of it, it had turned black, purple. It was oozing fluids out of it. It literally looked like it was a flesh-eating thing.
You're lucky you
probably
didn't lose
was.
it.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry,
come to find out, it was when I finally went to the hospital. There was people, other homeless people and people on the bus, when they would see me going to the spot to cop, they'd put bets on whether I was actually going to the hospital after I'd get that one more or not. Because I would tell them every time I was on the bus and see the same people, I'm going to the hospital right after this one. Yeah, okay. And I didn't, so I put it off for like 11 days. Finally, one morning I woke up behind the shed at McDonald's, and it was so bad I couldn't even barely stay. I couldn't put any weight on it already, but the pain was so bad just me laying there. I had money in my pocket to get myself off sick and everything, but I couldn't. I went in the McDonald's and laid in a booth, bawling my eyes out. And mind you, I used to work there, so the people did have a little care and concern for me, regardless of my circumstances. And they called an ambulance, and an ambulance came right away. And I thank God for that, because 6 or 8 hours more, the doctor said, I probably would have lost the bottom half of my left leg. It had turned into a flesh-eating thing. It was MRSA. It was so infected. The abscess was so bad that it turned into MRSA.
Oh, that's nothing to mess with either.
Right, and the infection had gotten to my bloodstream, but somehow not to my heart yet. I don't know, grace of God.
So you were septic,
Thank
but
God.
It hadn't infected my heart
crazy.
yet. So
God.
I was on vancomycin in the hospital for, I believe it was kind of a blur, man, because I was out there for so long before that. But I spent a lot of time in the hospital. They gave me some pain medications and that were opiates in the hospital, even though I was red flagged left and right in the computer.
Oh, wow.
And then I told them I wanted to not only treat my leg, but I wanted to get off opiates. And so they gave me methadone for 3 days and then cut me directly off with no taper or nothing. And I tried explaining to them that that was not going to work. I was going to be sick, and if that was the case, I was probably going to leave the hospital. Long story short, they caught me shooting up the next day after they cut me off of the methadone. I was getting high in my room bathroom in the hospital, and they caught me because the visitor that had come and seen me, he was kind of a sketchy looking dude, and they caught me in the hospital getting high mid-shot, and I stayed at the hospital one more night. And I remember late that night they walked in on me with a bunch of markers taped together with medical tape, trying to get the needle that still had some stuff in it out of the sharps container with medical tape and markers and stuff that I had found in the room.
Oh my gosh.
Again, the insanity of the disease of addiction. And that wasn't enough. Possibly losing my left leg, almost an infection going to my heart, that wasn't enough for me. You know, I went back out and did more research for another 2.5 months after that. And right when I first got out of the hospital, there was homeless people getting kind donations from an army of people that were looking for me. I found out later on that there was an army of about 20 to 30 people driving around looking for me. And
Wow.
During that time, right after I had left the hospital, is when Stephanie had reached out to me and sent me a message about detox at Loyola. And I think it was worded at the end, like, whenever you're ready, we're not rushing you. And that was the first time I really had felt compassion in a message or someone talking to me about treatment. And I don't know what it was. Again, God. God is a huge part of my life today, and I pay attention to little things, and I believe that was God working through Stephanie to make me aware of how bad it really was for me.
Oh, I'm getting teary.
Oh my goodness. I
love
just
you
got
guys.
goosebumps.
We love you too.
Aw.
But yeah, I'll wrap it up. So that wasn't enough for me, and basically I share my story to tell you guys that there is hope. I'm now in a halfway house. Is it helpful? Yes, it's a roof over my head. I'm not living in a tent trying to stay clean. But I'm grateful for it. You know, there's days that I have bad days in recovery. And I'm human. I'm not perfect, I'm human. I think of progress and not perfection. But most of all, most importantly, I have to give God praise. I have to say that AA has worked for me tremendously. The Steps, my sponsor, these great people that are in my corner, Be the Change, Hope Dealers BTC, just friends I've had for a long time that were never a part of my addiction, that never left my side, man. Like, I cry some nights when I think about those people. My parents for never giving up on me, man, even though, like, they do what they do, and I feel some type of way about certain things that have happened in my life, and, like, even that are still happening. Like, my parents are my parents, and I love them dearly. And addicts need to know that there's people that still care, and we also need to be able to decipher the fact that people are going to give us tough love. It's not that they hate us, but tough love is probably what mostly got me to open my eyes, you know.
Right, and I think love in general, there's so many people out there who don't have family anymore.
Correct.
And their friends are other addicts, so they don't really know which direction to go in, which is why I think so many of us love what we do, because we know what that's like, and we're there because when you go on your terms, pretty much. You're not going to do it before then, until you're ready, like you said.
Yeah. I had to be thoroughly beaten down spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally to become willing. And I still wasn't totally willing when I went to detox. I tried leaving that place. All 5 days I was there. And
I would have beat you.
Same with inpatient. But something clicked in there, man. Something clicked. I met my counselor, Laura. Again, I'm so grateful for her. I had talked to Stephanie. Stephanie came and visited me when I was an inpatient. And just people were supportive, man. No one let me leave that place every time I wanted to. But real quick, step work is very important. Steps 1, 2, and 3, basically. I'm screwed. How can I get unscrewed? He can unscrew me.
I like that.
Is steps 1, 2, and 3 for me. Step 4 is the most freeing experience I've ever experienced in my life. I got all that garbage out of me, man. All that stuff that drove me to go back out, all those times I relapsed. Other than the fact that I like the effect produced by the alcohol or the drugs, there was pain inside of me that I was too scared and too afraid of judgment to share with anybody. And with a 4th step, you get those things out of you, and you share them with another human being, yourself, for the first time out loud. You hear yourself say it, and you share it with God.
Nice.
By sharing it with God, you get rid of it. It's out of you. You're no longer a dressed-up garbage can, because I can be in recovery and dress the outsides up and still be a broken, battered thing on the inside. And that was what the 4th and 5th step were about for me. 6 and 7 are just basically, am I willing to have God work on these shortcomings and character defects I have? And I have to humbly ask him to remove those things, but I also have to realize that it might not happen overnight. It's going to happen on his time. And that's another work in progress, you know. Steps 8 and 9 are the amends steps, and that's important. You get your amends list from your 4th step, the people that affected you or you affected the most during your active use.
And I just want to say, just because I know I believe in God as well, but it doesn't your higher power doesn't necessarily have to be God. As long as you believe in something bigger than yourself. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's why I shared at the beginning.
Right.
It's for me. That's what works for me.
Right.
But I have today. I have 129 days clean.
Woo, woo, woo.
And I'm working with a sponsor. I go to meetings every day. I have this great group of people behind me. I have a wonderful person in my corner that's sitting in the room next to me, along with these people. My parents are.
You're welcome.
That was great.
My parents are fully supportive.
Yeah, it was.
I have friends popping back in my life that weren't there for a long time, but I understand why, and I love them. And we have so
love
much,
you too.
We have so much support for addiction on Facebook. Grassroots people in grassroots groups in Rochester. We're all networking with each other and building this enormous thing, and we're going to make such an impact. I'm just so excited, and I'm so grateful, and recovery is possible. I'm here. I like to say I went from the brink of death to hope with every breath.
You're kind of amazing.
Stop it.
Oh, you guys are awesome. That makes me so happy.
Thanks for listening, guys.
I'm so glad that you shared.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. And if anyone listening ever needs to reach out to me or any of us, we do have peer counseling people on our website. And I'm totally willing to help anyone.
Yeah. If you go to our website, Chris's number's up there, Karina's number's up there, my number's up there. I think someone had a question.
It's a comment. Go
no,
ahead, Adina.
it was just a comment. Carla Litolf, I apologize if I botched. Oh, okay. She said, what I could hear, it was great. Sounded so much like our story. So proud of you, Chris. Keep it up.
Thank you, Carla.
Oh, we love that.
That was from our live feed, just so
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was from
so
our
our
live feed.
listeners know we're recording live from our Facebook page,
Yes.
Be the Change Hope Dealers BTC.com. So instead of responding to those while we're live on air, we wait, and just in case you were wondering, that's where
Kinda
that
give
came
a
from.
signal.
Yeah.
So this about wraps it up. Holy moly, it went fast.
So
It did
fast.
go fast.
So
It
thank you
flew
guys
by.
for tuning in. You've been listening to Hope Dealer.
Thank you,
You've been listening to
Rochester.
Be the Change, Addiction Awareness Support and Recovery Radio. We are Hope Dealers. Come out and
not
join
dope.
us Sundays. And we're going to close out with one of my husband's favorite songs. So I hope he can listen from up there. I'm sure he is.
He
Of course he is.
and he's watching over you.
I know. But tune in next week, guys, and we'll have some more great topics, more exciting stuff to talk about.
We got some really good guests coming on.
Yes,
here
we
coming up,
do.
too.
Dun, dun, dun. Check out our page for who's coming on in the next couple weeks. We will keep you guys updated, and we hope to see you guys Sunday. Come out and join us.
All right, Rochester. See ya.
We love you.
Be the
See ya.
change.